What's going on, you guys? My name is CodyT503 and this is Interesting. For episode 120, where today we actually have a very special guest. And now, it is an absolute privilege to introduce to you guys Mr. Ooh La La.
Bonjour, bonjour. It is indeed your pleasure to have me on the interesting podcast, eh? Just joking. Hello, everybody. Thanks for watching. It's I, the Empresario of POW.
That is so cool. Well, let's just start out for everybody who maybe doesn't know you. Maybe you can introduce your name, where you're from, and maybe how long you've been into professional wrestling.
My name is Mr. Ooh La La, as indicated down there. Where is it? There we go. I'm originally from Eugene, Oregon, and I've been watching, studying, obsessing over professional wrestling since December 26, 1987.
Wow. That's crazy. That's a long time to actually be into professional wrestling. Have it you go ahead.
Yeah, I remember the first episode I ever watched that got me hooked. It was Superstars of Wrestling. I was 8 years old. It was the episode where the Islanders, Bobby Heenan, kidnapped Matilda, the British bulldog. Yeah.
Interesting. So, did you drive any inspirations from the older professional wrestling that maybe kind of intertwine with your character as Mr. Ooh La La?
I mean, my character is a little more cartoony, so probably yes. I'm more into the rope opera wrestling than like the exquisitely executed moves wrestling.
Yeah.
I believe wrestling works best as a drama.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's definitely something we're going to have to get into because I have a question for that. But when did POW Pro Wrestling begin?
Well, I formed it. What was it? February 2019. After a long time of it just kind of cooking in my brain, and then our first show was October 13th, 2019. We did 4 shows between October and March of 2020, and I'm pretty sure we were the last show in the Northwest before COVID hit, because it was March 8th, 2020, and then I'm pretty sure the next week. I mean, on that last show, Amira is sitting in the crowd as a fan, and she gives a couple of the wrestlers hand sanitizer before they start wrestling, because the inklings of COVID were already out there, and then the next week it all got shut down.
Yeah.
So
that is really interesting. So that was your first interaction with Amira before she actually became a professional wrestler?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Amira was a fan. For sure. Yeah, she was. Yeah, I think she came to all the POW shows. I remember her little group of people that would always be in the front row, and yeah, and then when we came back in 2022, she started doing all sorts of stuff for us, and then by I think August she was having her first match. So yeah,
that is really interesting. So how did you come up with the POW Pro Wrestling name? What drove you to call it that?
Well, I wanted something that was kind of happy and bright and fun. I'm a big fan of the old Batman TV series from the 60s, so that probably inspired it too. I don't know. Sometimes these things just pop up in your mind. It's not like a calculated thing. It's just kind of stewing in there.
Yeah.
And it just kind of pops out at you. I just noticed that a lot of the other promotions were really grungy and metal and lots of dark colors. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It definitely appeals to a certain demographic. But I wanted to set us apart by doing something like the 180 of that, which is why we settled on PAL and the powder blue color and kind of the vibe.
Yeah. So how difficult was it to come up with a promotion and kind of sustain a name? instead of just coming up with a company and just trying to do whatever you need to do to get it, like actually having it build into something.
Mm, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, now is like really the first time, the first era I can remember where I like feel pretty relaxed about PAL. You know, like I feel like it's like okay, it's on like a good run. The popularity has grown a lot in the last like 6 months. I'm good. Before that, man, it's like it's a struggle. Like the margins on independent wrestling are a lot thinner than people would think.
Yeah.
The difference between like 180 people and 130 people coming to your shows is a lot. That's you figure $30 a ticket's 30 times 50. That's the difference between like maybe being on either side of breaking even or making kind of a good profit. So
Yeah.
you just got to kind of put your head down and just like get to the next one, get to the next one, get to the next one, get to the next one.
Yeah.
And as far as the branding, I just try and be consistent in like the way it's presented and the way that the graphics look and the types of stories we tell, the types of matches that we have, that kind of thing. For it really took us till probably we went to Blair Alley before we found our vibe, I would say, because we did our initial first shows and those were just kind of there. If you go on YouTube, I have all those in a playlist, and it's called PAL the Prologue, because none of it really applies to what we did later. And then we came back. We did shows at Matt Court, and we did some more shows with U of O. And for lack of a better term, we were kind of doing like Prestige Defy Light, And yeah, it just wasn't hitting. Like it wasn't drawing as it needed to. The shows were more expensive than like the gates. So we were losing money on that. And yeah, we went to Blair Alley. It was a bar. It was outside. We were kind of forced to go a little smaller and be more story based, and that kind of fit where my heart was, and it seemed to be what people, the people that came to our shows, it seemed to be what they gravitated and responded to. So it worked out. It's kind of like I believe the world will like push you where it needs you to be sometimes, even if it's painful. But if you just kind of go with it and follow your light and like kind of try and see the direction that life is pushing you towards, you'll end up okay.
Yeah. That is very interesting. So like how was it like what are the requirements in which you expect of a wrestler before they're actually booked?
In what respect?
Like just looking out, like whether you went to Oregon Pro Wrestling School and saw all these new students, like what do you require of them before you'll actually book them?
Well, Ricky has to say that they're clear, like that. Yes, they're graduated, and he has pretty high standards. So,
Yeah.
Most new wrestlers out of the Oregon Wrestling School, like I'll give them a shot just to give them a shot, and then kind of see where they land. Other wrestlers, like from like up north, say like the SOS school or the WAC school. It just kind of depends on what we need.
Yeah.
If we need heels, if we need faces, if we need this kind of wrestler, that kind of wrestler, somebody recommends them. People from other areas hit us up, and honestly, like I don't like to book people if it's just going to be a one-off, because we like to build stories. We like to, we like to get momentum going. We like to have our fans invest in people, and there's some promotions that just bring people in cold and like don't even have them do an interview in front of the crowd or anything to tell the crowd like how you're supposed to react to them. and I just don't get that.
Yeah. Well, what about it is like interesting when it comes to these companies that attempt to start something, and like how difficult is it to
Attempt to
kind of
what?
like,
Sorry.
huh?
Attempt to what?
Attempt to actually create a company, and like
Oh.
can you kind of explain to us exactly how it feels to not only accomplish that but sustain it?
Mm, I don't know. It's not like some big. I've often said that like most of my childhood dreams I have come true. Right. I've made a feature length film. I wrote several screenplays. I have a wrestling company. Honestly, the biggest gift that um, achieving those dreams has brought me is that they didn't give me long term happiness. Long term happiness is a state of mind. It's something you have to constantly feed and gestate and cultivate. So I do get joy, obviously. I try to keep the perspective that 12-year-old me would think that my life was really awesome. That's a good thing to remind myself when stuff is getting stressful. But a lot of it is day to day. It's not like you don't really have time sometimes to just like step back and be like, wow, look at all that. So it's definitely it's a passion. It's like it's not something that I necessarily want to do. It's something that I have to do. It's definitely like a calling. And with that, there's highs, there's lows. I've made friends through PAL, and I've lost friends through PAL. I've made money and I've lost money. I've, you know, all sorts of stuff happens.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So I know that you and Brian Zane have a really good connection when it comes to you guys advertising for PAL. So, like, when did you actually meet him, and what was the first conversation that you guys had when it came to professional wrestling?
I ran into Brian. Actually, the first time I ever encountered. Actually, wow, I keep going back. The first time I ever encountered Brian is I was working at the University of Oregon, and I was like 22 or 23, and I was running one of the dormitory kitchens, and he was a student in the dorm, and he had like a Kurt Angle shirt on, and I said something to it about him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to Buddy Rose's wrestling school," and I was like, "Oh, right on, cool." And then through the years, by the time I had gotten into wrestling, he had pretty much moved to Reno, I think. So we kind of like were like ships in the night in some respects. Although I did get really drunk and heckle him at a 2009 West Coast Wrestling Connection show. I do remember that. Besides that, we would like run into each other here and there. I like saw him once at like the DOA barbecue. I saw him at WrestleCon. The real connection was he was looking for a writer for Wrestling with Regret, and I applied. And I don't know if you know that I'm the writer of at Wrestling with Regret. So yeah, I write like the long forms. I write the scripts and like I harvest footage for him and do some editing sometimes. And he wasn't involved in PAL in the first run of it. He didn't start working with PAL until we came back from the COVID. So yeah, I mean, he's very valuable. He has so much production knowledge. He lends his name and his credence and his fame in the wrestling community to PAL, which definitely elevates it. He's a perfect quote unquote straight man to like be the commentary guy and be the host and do all that. Um, you know, I mean, essentially, the what as PAL exists now, I kind of consider myself, Brian, and Izzy, who is the editor. She edits Wrestling with Regret. She does the video production for DOA Prestige, and she edits PAL. I kind of consider us three to be like the creators of PAL because we, We collaborated, we created the look, we created the vibe in all our different areas, because I mostly write the shows. Brian, does a lot of the production stuff, and then Izzy edits it and like kind of puts the final polish on it.
Yeah. Very interesting. So have you actually ever gone to Oregon Pro Wrestling School just to kind of scout
Yeah.
out the students that are there and be like,
I don't really scout them out. I mean, you hear like so and so's ready, so and so's good. I have eyes on the inside, So, as far as I mean, a lot of the stuff they do at the school is like it's a lot of drills, and you kind of have to see somebody in a match. And I'm as interested in how somebody promos as I am in how they do a match.
Yeah.
I value personality. I'll book a Sid before I'll book, as soon as I'll book a Dean Malenko. You know what I mean? I think they're both equally as valuable.
Yeah. I know when I was talking with Jack Hammer, he had kind of said that you like this more like theatricality into your pro wrestling brand. Like, what makes you drive that so forward that like that's something that you kind of not require, but you like?
I just think wrestling's a drama. It's a drama that pretends to be a sport. And I mean, I think these days, it's a little too emphasis on in-ring. Not that it's bad. I mean, some people like really awesome guitar solos, or you know what I mean? There's wrestling. People think wrestling is just like one genre. It's like it's just rock and roll. It's like no, it's rock and roll. It's the blues. It's jazz. It's metal. It's hip hop. It's EDM. It's and we're kind of like POW is kind of like poppy blues. I just feel like it's a drama. It's a drama disguised as a sport. I like rope opera.
Yeah.
I like the drama of it. I'm more impressed if somebody cuts a really great promo than if they like do a 360. Although 360 is also impressive. I'm not trying to like discredit or downplay like crazy athletic achievements, but
yeah,
I feel like once an audience has seen all the moves, they tend to lose their luster. But if you can like grab their heart, then you can make them react off a clothesline.
Yeah. So like,
look at some of the biggest stars in wrestling. Look at The Rock. Does The Rock do any fantastic moves? He doesn't. Roman Reigns, John Cena, most of the big stars in wrestling history don't have an incredible moveset. They just have charisma and know how to like capture your heart and your imagination.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So, have you kind of ever felt any like nervousness as far as like putting together a card and thinking whether or not fans would actually gravitate toward it and enjoy it?
Well, I mean, you always want people to come. Obviously, there's the always the economic concern. When I'm putting together a card, I just want to make sure that every match on the card has a purpose for the story that's going forward.
Yeah.
I'm not really into a match just for the sake of a match. Every once in a while you can. Sometimes you need to like bring it down a little bit and just like provide a baseline, and just have a basic match, because this is like, oh my God, in this segment, somebody turned heel. And then in this segment, there's a title change. So here you want it to like mellow out a little bit so that you can have that roller coaster effect of emotion of it, like going up and down, going up and down, going up and down. One thing that people don't talk about a lot is that like older wrestling, like territorial wrestling, a lot of it is boring, and that's on purpose. because they used to do maybe if you were lucky, you got an angle on like your weekly television. But when you did that angle, man, it would pop. And like you're talking about it on the playground the next day, like, wow, I can't believe the Islanders kidnapped Matilda or whatever, or Andre the Giant tore off Hulk Hogan's shirt, or the Horseman broke Dusty Rhodes' arm. In between like a 3-minute squash match. and a Baron von Raschke promo, it's like,
yeah.
To answer your question, basically, I just want the card to all just kind of fit into the larger pastiche of what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, with the amount of years that you've been in a actual pro wrestling production, who's been your biggest draw, do you think?
Biggest draw. Well, I mean, I can't say that POW's like drawn like huge crowds.
Yeah.
But we're an independent. But I would say we've had a lot of big shows that were headlined by Funny Bone and Drexel. They were very successful for us. Hammer Brothers, Mira, and now the big one is Matt Brannigan. I would say Matt Brannigan's probably like our top star now. He just won the. Did you watch the show on Saturday?
I did not.
What?
I wish I did. I did. I am so sorry to do that too. Yeah,
you don't watch every POW show? It was sold out, man. It was one of our best ones yet. No, really. Matt Brannigan won the YouTube championship. You need to go back and rewatch it. It was incredible. I was the special referee for one of the matches. We had Ricky Gibson in his first singles match in over a year against Amira. It's got a little bit of everything. Kid Bandit's farewell match at POW.
Yeah. So is there any match that you would say would be the biggest production from POW?
Biggest production? I mean, we've had some cage matches that came off pretty well, I think. Some of the baseball ones were pretty good because that's at the baseball park, So I would say those. I think our biggest drawing match ever was, I think it's tied. It's Midnight Heat versus the Hammer Brothers in a cage. And either right in front of it or right behind it is the Hess Clan versus Funny Bone and Drexel. No DQ. The losing team must split up.
Okay.
So
I know that the Flaming Aces and the Hammer Brothers are going to have a ladder match coming up. Are you like really excited to see exactly what they can actually pull together?
As the promoter, I don't know if excited is the word. I'm anticipating it for sure. I just want everybody to like make it out safe and not hurt, and like I'm sure it's going to be great. I don't doubt that. I'm just like, I don't want anybody to like break anything. You know what I mean? So once I breathe a sigh of relief, and then those type of matches, I kind of just keep one eye on it when it's happening live. And then once it's over with and I like go home and rewatch the stream, then I can relax and like actually just watch it.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried about fans. I'm worried about liability. I'm worried about people getting hurt. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I know the first time that I had actually kind of saw you was when you and Abigail Warren were kind of doing this hypnosis, kind of like stringing along things. And
it was more of a conservatory thing. It was a riff on what was going on with Britney Spears.
Can you kind of explain that a little bit to us?
Well, she was the angle was that she had been in a mental institution, and she had been released into my care, and so she had to obey my bidding, or else I'd put her back in the mental institution. And then eventually, her father, Big Ugly, showed up and freed her essentially.
Yeah.
So I
That's
guess
very
he's the head of the custodianship now. I don't know. We
yeah.
didn't, we blew it off and then they haven't been back. So
Yeah, I know she had brought up the fact that you were like so in tune with your outfit that you even had a necklace that matched your entire outfit. And so like one thing is like how many outfits do you actually have? Like you have to have a
mm,
plethora of
I have a bunch. I mean, mostly it comes down to combos. You know what I mean? Like you can switch like shirts and pants and berets and shoes and glasses around and get more combos. I don't know. I would say I probably have like 15 combos, something like that I've accumulated over the years.
yeah.
I am upset because the berets that I love, I haven't been able to find them for a long time. So thankfully they are very durable, but I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot for like not just stocking up on them when they were around. But who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not performing as much as I used to either. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, I know when I was talking to Jack Hammer, he was telling me that when him and Sledge came up with a video package for their rivalry against the Midnight Heat, that they actually wanted it to be played during the show. So when you were actually viewing it before doing it on the show, what did you think of their promo packages? And do you think that
Um,
we could use more promo packages in the future?
well, I mean, Powell, we make our own promo packages for
Okay.
most months. Most months, unless it's like there's nothing that's been built up enough to really necessitate it, because it is like probably 4 or 5 hours worth of editing, depending. Um, yeah, I love promo. I mean, I will say this about Powell, like with all due humility, I don't see any other like low budget independent promotion that tries as hard as we do on production. We do a countdown show. We do promos. We do video packages. We do reels. We do all that stuff to like promote our stories and promote our product. I'll put our production against any, low budget independent wrestling promotion that's around in the US. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the Hammers are great. I love the Hammers. They're one of my like absolute favorite acts that we have as performers and as people.
Yeah.
They're very talented. They get over. They're one of the most popular acts that we have at PAL. Like our fans love them, and they're super easy to work with. Even if they have a disagreement about this or that, or they're like, you got the wall. You want the wallpaper to be blue. We think it should be yellow. They're very diplomatic about it, which I appreciate because, like, as a wrestling promoter and booker, you have to try to keep like 35 people happy, and that's really hard.
Yeah. No, definitely. So it's like, what kind of excites you or what makes you happy in being a manager of specific wrestlers? Like, what drives you towards to like want to do that?
Mm, well, I like having free reign to be a prick. That's fun. I like being funny. I feel like I can talk. So as a manager, like if somebody can't talk as well, I feel like I help in that respect.
Yeah.
I like taking young wrestlers like Charlie. Charlie Avell. He's the PAL champion now. When I started managing him, he was fresh off being a babyface with Drexel. Kind of a mini Drexel, and I feel like that. I helped him kind of bloom into what he is now, and now he doesn't need me. Now he cuts his own promos, and he is the head of his own group. He doesn't need a manager anymore. So I got a real thrill out of that, of like taking younger wrestlers that just needed, you know, um, needed that spark to light the TNT that's inside of them and like make them explode into what they're supposed to be or what they have the potential to be. So that was really that's the most rewarding part of it, I think.
That is so interesting. So, like, have you ever actually wrestled a match yourself? And like, how long ago maybe was it?
Well, I was technically in a match. It was April 20th, 2011. It was a 5-on-4 tag match. It was Jonas, Eric, Pat Large, MJ, and myself against. No, not Pat Large. He was on Draven, maybe, or Nate. Nate Andrews, MJ, and myself against Wade Hess, Patrick Large, Chuck Payne, and Thunder. And the finish was I take a Thunder line. So, do you know anything about Thunder? You know Thunder?
No.
Oh, man. Thunder is like a road warrior. He was like a big, jacked guy with like 22-inch arms. A little gruff. I mean, I eventually became friends with him, and my adage for Thunder is, if Thunder liked you, he merely hurt you. If he didn't like you, he injured you. There's a difference. Everybody in wrestling knows the difference between being hurt and being injured. You know,
Yeah.
Being hurt, it hurts for like 30 minutes and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Injured, you're like gonna go to the Zoom care or whatever, you know. But yeah, he's just a big road warrior that like will knock your block off with a clothesline. And so yeah, right before I went to the curtain, the referee who had wrestled Thunder before was like, "Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't jump into no Thunder line. He'll fold you." So I did not jump into the Thunder line, but he still like clotheslined me across my face like this. And it hurt for about 30 minutes. And then, yeah, it was fine. And yeah, Thunder, unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago at like the ripe young age of like 52, you know, sadly.
Damn.
But yeah. Yeah, he was the first wrestler I knew. Actually, no, that's not true. But the first local wrestler that I knew who passed away. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Have you ever like seen any receipts being given to a wrestler?
Receipts. I mean, nothing too dramatic, really.
Okay.
Nothing that really like pops out in my mind.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay.
I mean, when I got into it, it was kind of getting past that kind of a point. I think it was becoming a little more civilized.
Well, that's a good thing.
Well, wrestling has changed, especially with the advent of MMA. Like wrestling back in the day used to be all tough guys. The tough guys now, they've become MMA fighters. Like wrestling now is like, not to say they aren't tough, but it's more of like a theater kid mentality, I feel. You know, like wrestlers are a perfect mix of a jock and a theater kid.
Yeah.
You know, mixed into the same kind of person.
All right. Well, I know we were talking the other day and you had told me that you worked for DOA from 2013 to 2015. So like, what did you do?
I worked there from 2011 to 2015, and then I went back in 2018, dabbled, and then I stopped last year, early last year. So I did all sorts of stuff for DOA. I made programs. I did the social media. I ran the YouTube. I eventually helped book. That was my first booking job. Was under Jason Sullivan at DOA from like 2013 to 2015-ish. And then all sorts of stuff happened, and I just got so burnt out on wrestling, and I took like 3 years off. And then I came back in 2018 for the DOA 10-year anniversary, and I didn't really do any like extra stuff. And then the next year after that, I started POW. So I'm still very friendly with DOA. Like Terry, the owner, came to the PAL show last month, and we chatted, and we kind of have a silent agreement to like help each other if it ever is necessitated.
Yeah.
I still consider DOA to be like my home promotion. I wish them, all the success. I mean, they have gritted their teeth. They survived everything. DOA is like a cockroach. You just can't kill it. There's been a couple times. No, seriously, man. They've lost venues. There's been times when it's on the ropes, man, but it lives. It survives. It always finds a way to survive. And I think that's admirable.
Definitely.
I mean, like in 2 days, it's the last Prestige show. And they had a way bigger budget than DOA. They drew way bigger crowds than DOA, but
That's
DOA
awesome.
DOA survives.
Yeah. Well, that will kind of lead me into two questions. One is, how did you feel about Jason Sullivan finally retiring? Like, what were you feeling that day looking back on his career?
It was bittersweet because Sully was one of my mentors.
Yeah.
He let me book underneath him. I talked to him the other day. We're still in contact. It was fun to be a part of his last match. Although afterwards, Wade Hess came in and fought him, and in my mind, I was like, he probably should have wrestled Wade Hess as his last match, because that's like a classic DOA feud, is Jason Sullivan and Wade Hess. Like, if you're talking the first like 5 years of DOA, like that might be like the Rock Austin of DOA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I admire Sullivan. He's like one of the more like pull yourself up from the bootstraps motherfuckers that I've ever met. He moved down to Paraguay, man, and just trained all these kids how to wrestle in Paraguay, and now runs a successful promotion in Paraguay. Like he literally like walked into a dustbin and like turned it into an orchard. Like that takes fortitude. That he's very intelligent. He's very like, he just doesn't give a fuck, dude. He just puts his face forward and like, dude, he'll push down that wall. If it takes him 10 years, he'll push it down, one punch at a time. Like he doesn't let anything like hold him down. And I admire that. I am grateful for the opportunities he gave me. I learned so much, from that first run. And I mean, I'm happy I guess I was just happy that he had the chance to like do it the way he wanted to do it.
Yeah. So do you plan on being with DOA Pro Wrestling as far as the length of your career? Is that something that you're always going to go back on?
I haven't been there for over a year. I don't know if you know, but I had a brain tumor.
Yeah.
And so I had to have brain surgery. And so I don't really know how like physical I want to be.
Okay.
Honestly, and like I don't want to be a manager if I can't like take a bump. That's not fair to like build heat and then like never let the baby faces get a payoff from it. Like that's not how it works. So now at PAL, I'm more of kind of like a brother love figure.
Yeah.
I think, like I have an interview segment. Sometimes if there's a storyline that needs like some kind of like catalyst, I might be part of that. Like I was a special guest referee last week because we're doing a whole angle with one of the referees and one of the heel wrestlers. So I just kind of pick my spots. I don't like to like, I'm a garnish. I'm not a main dish.
No, totally understandable. I know another thing that you had brought up when we were talking was you being able to work with Roddy Piper and the Grappler. So when did that start?
That was at Portland Wrestling Uncut. That was in like the fall of 2012. I think Uncut started October 2012 and ended June 2013. Basically, my ins were the Blanchard brothers because they got booked. They pitched me, and at first, like Roddy and Grappler didn't see it. They had their first house show, And I just got really drunk, and because I wasn't booked, and so I just like got drunk at the bar, and I just like got in Rod's face and like told him I wanted to be booked, and he's like, fine. I kind of respect the fact that you just like got in my face and were like, hey, don't overlook me. And yeah, so then I started on the next Uncut taping as the life coach of the Blanchards, and probably because I am kind of 80s type of a character, he liked me and put me on most of the shows, and I would call Grappler and give him booking ideas. And so, I just kind of weaseled my way in, and I was able to sit in on the booking meeting of the very last Uncut taping that didn't end up happening because the ring broke. And then the guy who was running it ran out of money. And so the Portland wrestling dream died yet again, as it often seems to when somebody tries to revive that promotion.
Yeah. So is there anything that maybe Roddy Piper taught you that you carry with yourself today?
Well, he told me, like, if you're on the microphone and the interviewer tries to take the microphone away and you're not done, just fucking take it back and like say what you got to say. Like, you have to make your spot.
Yeah.
If you get over, they have to push you. I mean, I think that's the philosophy of like any successful wrestler. It's like, if you get over, they have to push you. I mean, maybe not WWE because they like have so much money that it doesn't matter. And so if somebody like Zack Ryder gets over on his own, they can bury him and get away with it. But generally speaking, like if you get over, they're going to push you, and you have to be ready. You have to be ready for when that window of opportunity comes. You always have to be honing your craft. He would tell me about he would book when he booked Portland wrestling in the early 80s. He would just drive down with a 6-pack. It was the 80s. It was light beer, and just drive with his steer the steering wheel with his knee, and just have his little notepad with the light on in the car, and just book out like the next week of cards as he was like driving from town to town.
So, like, what is something that has played a big role back then that you feel like we could possibly see more today that would benefit professional wrestling?
Do you mean just like nationally, locally, what?
Locally.
Promos. Okay. Work on your promos.
Yeah.
If you're a good promo, like you're untouchable.
Yeah.
Unless you're like really bad in the ring or you hurt people. Like if you can cut a good promo and like capture people's hearts, you're great. You're gold. I think. Yeah. And learn how to sell. Like probably the thing that I noticed the most about today's wrestling is like compared to back in the day is like sell. Selling is what makes people forget that they're watching a fiction, Yeah. It makes them, lose their suspension of disbelief. If you're really good at selling, they're like, God, fuck, I mean, that last match was bullshit, but I think that guy is really hurt, like, just look at him.
Yeah. So that's really, really interesting, because something that I've always thought about, how they say, building that suspension of disbelief. And whenever you will look at wrestling and be like, all of these people are actually like putting forth, like where they're subjected to pain, and like being like, if I, am doing this move, maybe it'll go wrong. And then that's what people are like, oh crap, like you never know when it's actually gonna be something real. Do you feel like that really benefits professional wrestling?
You mean like a botch?
Yeah, like fans don't actually know if it's gonna hurt them or if it's not gonna hurt them, and that kind of builds,
I don't know. I think it's good to establish like a baseline of attrition in wrestling. Like a pile driver's a pile driver. you shouldn't fucking kick out of a pile driver unless like somebody saves you, or like you get your foot on the rope, or maybe if it's like a huge blow off match. But like the whole like trading Canadian destroyers and all that kind of stuff really annoys me, because it's like you're throwing all your tools out the window. Why would you do that? Like, what else do you have but moves? Like, how else are you gonna get stuff over than by like selling moves? Like, that's the language of wrestling.
Yeah.
So I think that it should be like, a punch should be a punch, a kick should be a kick, a pile driver should be a pile driver. There's exceptions, always. There's exceptions to every rule. And the biggest rule is if it gets over, then it's over. If it gets over, it's over. And sometimes you never know what's going to get over, Like, I never would have guessed that Amira would become what she's become. Not in a million years. But, somebody comes up, you give them the opportunities. And she was ready, man. When that window opened, she was ready. Because nobody works as hard as she does, which is the honest truth,
Yeah. That is really awesome. So, like, what can we expect from the future when it comes to PAL?
Well, steady as she goes. I mean, we've had the biggest pre-sales ever for our next show. We've had like a week, more than a first week sales in like 3 days. We have baseball coming up. We're going to start running shows in Albany in April. Our first one is April 24th at Calapooia Brewing. So it'll be the Friday before our Eugene show. And if it's successful, we'll just kind of keep maintaining that pattern. I just try not to be too ambitious, because it's like, all right, like I know if I run roll pies, I know how much I can budget to make X amount, and it feels kind of comfortable. And we're still a young company, we still have debt to pay off, so I'm just kind of chipping away at that. And yeah, I just want to keep creating fun stories that people are into, I guess. I mean, and keep helping people achieve their dreams, or at least begin to.
Yeah.
I mean, I try and keep my ambitions kind of simple. I mean, it is just like at the end of the day, for most of us, it's really just a hobby.
That is so awesome. What does it mean to you to not only love professional wrestling, but have a company that you can really strive to build? Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, like I said, 12-year-old me would think my life is pretty awesome. So I'm very proud of Al. It's stressful. When the bell finally rings to like start the show, like that's when I relax.
Yeah.
Although more and more, as I've, been doing this for almost 7 years now, it doesn't really stress me out like it used to, because I've been through all the trials,
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really faze me like it used to. And like, nothing lasts forever, there's going to be the day when I decide I don't want to do it anymore, and I either shut it down or I sell it to somebody, So I just try to be as pragmatic about it as possible, and just, come up with matches and storylines that like give me that feeling, like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, that was really awesome, man. Well, I just want to thank you for, actually allowing me to be able to sit down with you and go throughout all these questions and whatnot. And it's really, really awesome that you would actually do this for me. So thank you.
Oh, sure. Thank you for having me. Thanks for platforming us. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I hope to actually see you pretty soon when you come back to Independence, and we'll definitely have to say what's up.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, sir.
You too.
Well, all right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Mr. Ooh La La. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.